I'm Mike Cassidy of Bloomreach, the storyteller. I used to be Mike Cassidy of the San Jose Mercury News, where I worked with Pat May, who's joining me.
Hey, Mike. This is Pat May. I'm a staff writer for the San Jose Mercury News in Silicon Valley. Good to see you.
Yeah, you're writing some great stuff. One story in particular, recent story, caught my eye because it has to do with something I've been writing about, and that was a story that had to do with Starbucks and real estate. Can you fill us in on what the conclusion was?
Sure. I think Zillow, actually, the online database for housing
Oh, yeah.
price, all things housing, put it out there. Basically, two of their executives they've written a book about, and I don't think it's just about Starbucks effect, but they've written a book, and part of the book involved the Starbucks effect, and they referred to a study they did that showed that if there's a Starbucks near a property in many parts of the United States, that those properties are going to be valued at quite a bit more than a house that's not near a Starbucks, and they call it the Starbucks effect.
I think it was almost 100% increase in value over whatever, it was a number of years that they studied, compared to something like 65% if you weren't near a Starbucks or something like that.
That's close, yeah. They looked at 1997 to 2014. Homes within a quarter mile of Starbucks jumped by 96%, versus on average, versus 65% for all homes in the United States.
But so what did you think about that finding, or what did the people who you talked to? I mean, because that's one of those that it's like it's cute, but you sort of scratch your head a little bit.
I think it was kind of gimmicky, and I thought it was a brilliant, as I said in my lead, a brilliant bit of marketing by Zillow, because Zillow's got all this great data, and more of it. In fact, I think they just bought Truly, if I'm not mistaken, and they can do all kinds of interesting things with it. But their theory, or their deduction, well, that these price increases were due to the Starbucks, didn't really sit well with some of the realtors I talked to, who are really on the ground and seeing this day to day.
Yeah, yeah.
They feel like, in fact, the one realtor I quoted, Steve Mosany, who's in the East Bay of the Bay Area, he said, Starbucks, in fact, I'll read the quote: "Companies like Starbucks study where the growth trends are, and then they place their stores there to be ahead of the growth." So he said the growth is not there because there's a Starbucks. The Starbucks is there because they're anticipating the growth.
Okay.
So it's a little bit chicken or egg, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think if I were trying to sell my house, I think I'd rather have a Starbucks down the street than not have one.
Yeah, but
I think I would. But whether that's driving these price increases or not, hard to say.
So it's kind of which came first, the latte or the housing prices?
There you go.
Did you come up with a lot of cute puns? I mean, there's all sorts of, you could have frothy markets, you could have caffeinated housing prices.
I didn't come up with all of those, but they're out there, yeah. By the time I finished reporting the story, I think every pun was used, and I was just like, it was pun overdose, and I just couldn't. I mean, I couldn't bear to put one in my story.
No, you're a much better writer than that.
I'm a better man than that. The funny thing is, they also compared home prices near Dunkin' Donuts, which was fun,
Yeah.
and they did not show as dramatic of a difference for houses near a Dunkin' Donuts versus a Starbucks, which is interesting too.
That is. Well, so I started researching our house, and we're zero point 0.8 miles away from a Starbucks. Is that any help?
0.8? That's like a half a mile. No.
It's more than half a mile.
More than a half. No. Doesn't it seem like there's a Starbucks, though, on every street corner of America?
Well, I was going to ask you that. I mean, how did they find these houses that are farther than a quarter mile from a Starbucks?
They must be out in the plains of Iowa, is what I'm thinking.
Very good. Well, that's great. I appreciate it. I mean, I guess it's just an indication that it can be pretty tricky to measure things and figure out causation versus correlation. And this Starbucks debate may rage on forever. Huh? I'm going to sign off.
All right. Have a good weekend.
You have a good weekend, too. I appreciate your time.
All right. See ya.
Thanks a lot, Pat.
Bye.